Our father, Mike Kreitenberg, survived Auschwitz concentration camp. My father grew up in a town called Tech in Czechoslovakia. After Passover of 1944, they were taken away from their homes, put into a ghetto, the Tech ghetto, where they lived for 6 weeks before they were put on trains and sent to Auschwitz. My father's entire family went. His parents went. Next was a brother, Yitzhak, who volunteered to do, they were asking if somebody had experience working with blacksmith. My dad never saw him again. My dad always presumed that perhaps he had to work as a prisoner with the gas chambers or the crematorium. And next he had a brother named Joe, who is still alive today, 93 years old, and his sister Suri, who had the opportunity, according to my dad, to go into the camp and work, but she didn't want to leave her mother. So she went with her mother, and they were, gassed immediately. My dad was about 16. He went into the camp with his brother Joe, who was 14, and his father. And his father was selected out around the time of the high holidays as no longer able to work, and they took him away, to be gassed. And, my dad said he tried to argue with the guards, but to no avail. These are even today, they're the only known photographs ever taken of Jews from inside of Auschwitz. We went out, bought the book. Father starts looking through it. First one he discovered was this one. And he sees this picture here, and he says, I think that's my brother, Yitzhak, the one who went to go do the work as a volunteer, as a blacksmith, and never saw him again. Then, after some more time, he discovers this photograph right here of this man with the cap, and he says, who does that look like? I said, it looks like my Uncle Sam. He was not at Auschwitz. Turns out, he said, well, my Uncle Sam, his older brother, grew up to look like his father. He says, that's my father. He gets out a magnifying glass, looks some more, and he finds a picture of himself right there. The man between the two hats, shoulder to shoulder with his brother. My Uncle Joe, who's still alive today at 93, that's the little face right there standing below his father. I'll always remember I saw goosebumps on his arm like I've never seen on a human being before. Next picture he finds after reviewing some more, and basically that's my grandmother right there, next to my aunt, his younger sister.
But it was just wasn't really spoken about, but it was just always there in the back of your mind.
But of course it came up, and to me, the most apparent reminder or notice was that my father had a tattoo on his arm, A10193.
As a kid growing up, we all played basketball, and at the time we grew up during the John Wooden era. Everybody wore Adidas tennis shoes, which was a German company. I used to ask my dad, can I go buy Adidas tennis shoes? And it was like just out of the question. We were not getting Adidas tennis shoes. So little things like that would come up that just set it straight of what he thought, about what took place and as kids growing up.
After we discovered these family pictures that I've alluded to, and that opened up my dad. All of a sudden, he was willing to share, tell stories, take family identifications to Yad Vashem in Israel, start speaking to school groups and different groups. And as his memory faded and such, I would fill in some of the gaps for him. And it was sort of a sliding scale where towards the end, when he really wasn't speaking much at all, except showing the kids his tattoo, then I was speaking. And I just feel like I want to, continue to tell his story and keep the legacy going and give tours to middle school kids, high school kids, adult groups at the museum, and just try to, do the best that I can to keep the legacy alive and educate people.
We took a trip with my dad to Auschwitz, so we went back, all three of us with him, and that's the time when it really hit for me, because you actually walked through the camp, and he took us to where he actually lived and where he came down for a roll call, and he really explained everything kind of more what happened in the camp than all the years before.
We were worried that how is he going to feel going back to Auschwitz. We were nervous that how is he going to take it. He had not a smile, but just happy. He goes, I can't believe I'm alive and I'm here to see this. I recall him saying, and don't think this couldn't happen again, that there's people out there that would do the same thing if they have the opportunity to do it again.
He lived a great life. And, when he came to the United States, was not speaking English, but survived and became very successful. And he defeated, what the Nazis tried to do.
And one important factor I want to add also, just in our family thinking about it, between my dad and his two brothers, today, there's approximately 80 descendants from the three of them. And I'm not talking about spouses and marriages, children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren down, there's approximately 80. So shows what difference that even saving one life can make.